once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires that we call the internets is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
I am fair to partly cloudy.
Now, you gave us a cliffhanger last week.
I did. And should we just go on it?
Let's go with it.
All right. If you recall, last week I was talking about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and I had a rather somber note, and I wanted to wait because I bought the book, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by, his name is Stonehouse. I was like, really? No first name? That's very unusual.
So is the
Frederick
book
Stonehouse
really worth reading?
I found it fascinating. And what I found morbid about this is that there was a number of dives before the Canadian government nixed it. And what kind of got it going was when they did a Shannon group dive, they discovered a body near the bow of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Needless to say, this upset many of the surviving family members because after nearly 15 years, they put the event behind them only now to find a body, brought back the pain. And, many people, private citizens, relatives expressed concern that various expeditions were, quote, callously exploiting the wreck site, although the Shannon expedition never released any photograph or video of the remains. In 95, they went down at the request of the family members and with permission of the vessel's owner and the Canadian government, they brought the Fitzgerald Bell up. And that was July 4th, 1995. In its place, they put a memorial bell with all the sailors' names who had passed away. The bell itself is at the Great Lakes Shipwreck Historical Society Whitefish Point Museum. And that's the one that they ring during the ceremony, much like the one I talked about last week when we were up at Split Rock Lighthouse. Now, Stonehouse talks a bit about bodies in Lake Superior, which we talked about. And, I quoted Gordon Lighthouse's what was his name? Oh,
Gordon Lightfoot.
Gordon Lightfoot. Thank you. What did I say? Lighthouse? Oh,
yes.
Man. I'm trying to get ahead too much, but he says that he's not sure if the body's from the Edmund Fitzgerald because it was found by the bow, not in the bow. And there's no hard evidence that links the body to the wreck just because it was found near it. He says the deteriorated condition, including the lack of clothing, does not easily relate to the Fitzgerald. The remains show evidence of having been clad perhaps in coveralls, while the life jacket was made of heavier canvas. Virtually none of this material is still present. Just yards away, a canvas deck screen is resting on a rail, and linen and wool blankets and they're visible in cabins. In a period as short as 19 years in icy water at the bottom of Lake Superior, such material does not quickly disintegrate. He goes on to say, and he's conjecturing that it could be from the French minesweepers Inkerman or Sissorles that were lost in November 1918. There have been known floaters in the Lake Superior where bodies, they don't surface, but they just move with the currents. And so it's entirely possible this body was there only to be disturbed when the Edmund Fitzgerald's bow come crashing down upon it. Needless to say, the Canadian government put a kibosh on any diving to the wreck, and it's considered now a gravesite. And later on, he goes on to say with new GPS coordinates, it's possible not everything is in Canadian waters. Some of it could be in U.S. waters. Some could be in Canadian waters. Before you rush to go grab your liquidated oxygen to take yourself a freestanding dive, which somebody did after 1995, Michigan, whose water they are in, also passed a law forbidding diving to it. So that's where it is. Unlike the Titanic, which we talked about, which is slowly deteriorating and will probably be gone about 20, 30 years, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald will probably be there for a long, long time. And will they ever open it up, go down again? Well, who knows? But right now it's illegal, and in my opinion, should just be left alone because it is a gravesite. There are people that are still alive who lost family members to it. So if you want to read more, like I said, the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Frederick Stonehouse, number of books, and the one I've got is the latest, the 40th anniversary edition, which was just from a couple of years ago. And I actually picked that up when I was up on the Lake Superior Trading Post up in Grand Marais. So, if you got someone who's interested in that stuff, might make a great gift.
That's not the cliffhanger I thought of.
Oh, that's the only one I'm giving. I wasn't sure to put that in freaking or not, but I figured since I kind of said I want to check on that because I don't want to be spouting out stuff without checking my facts.
But you told us you're going to the doctor.
Well, just one. Oh, that's Electric Hip 2. No, that's Hip Watch 2, Electric Boogaloo. We usually say that for freaking and geeking.
Besides, but you ended the show talking about it.
But it was only part one of the doctors. So I went to the doc and I looked at him. I said, I need to get my right hip replaced now. He said, you did that last year, but don't you have a tear. We'll do the left for you for free. Not really, I got health care. So he took a lot of blood and he took a lot of piss and he looked and he made sure I was clean. And he said, my friend, you're good to the end, but you got to go see the surgeon next Friday. So I got one green light. My final okie dokie will be, actually right before we get together for our, what we call it, our Black Friday extravaganza.
The Black Friday Geeking.
Yes, where we we'll get together. Hopefully Butch is about, and we will travel to different Black Friday sales, and we're not really going too far. I mean, we'll be in the Twin Cities, so we'll probably won't have a lot of truck running, but we get out of the shop, we'll brag about what we found because it's all about stuff when it's Black Friday.
And we've also invited Dangerous Dan Mohr. But I don't know if he'll come with because we also invited him to this year's podcast, and he has not shown, has not messaged me back. Not feeling the love from Dangerous Dan.
Well, it might not be his fault. He could be in Mortal Kombat trying to keep Reginald away from the microphone.
That could be, but you know what this does mean?
What's that?
No gift for him this year.
Oh, well, that sounds like he has a reason to get on your Festivus show since I won't be here.
So, because he's not getting a gift, we need to talk to the people about what gifts they should be giving people. Not just comic book fans, but people who aren't comic book fans. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's the annual Holiday Gift Show.
Thank you, Santa, for bringing happiness to the children of Mars.
And the Christmas spirit to all of us.
Son, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you and yours the very best of everything.
If we hurry, we can get back in time for Christmas Eve.
Yay! Shall we get going?
Yay!
Goodbye, dear friends. Away! Merry Christmas, everyone! Away!
Under the tree.
will
that's some
actually.
nice music. That's
Oh,
really sweet.
It was kind of. Anyways, well, I will start off because last week again I cut short my trip up north because we had our previews extravaganza, which we do every month, and but I did visit a number of gift stores, and I thought I'd save them for this week because one thing Cory and I love doing, other than Cory, buying crap on Amazon constantly, or cheapgraphicnovels.com, or what are some of the other ones? Discount Comic Book Service, half price graphic novels. I don't know.
There's cheapgraphicnovels.com, which has been running a whole bunch of sales. They just had a Star Wars sale with stuff up to 70% off.
So when we were traveling, one thing, it drives my wife crazy, but she got into the spirit too. We visited lots of gift shops, and I'm just going to mention them, not really in any particular order. Some of them I mentioned last week, like, I mentioned the Lake Superior Trading Post where my wife picked up some gifts for my sister, and I picked up the book of the Rex and Miss Fitzgerald. Also in town was Beth's Fudge and Gifts, where you can call them if you want, and because they mail fudge, and it is some of the creamiest, freshest, most chocolatey fudge ever made, and it makes great birthday gifts and holidays. So you can just Google Beth's Fudge and Gifts, or if you happen to be going through Grand Marais, they're on 11 Broadway Street. The Lake Superior Trading Post is nearby too. A little bit farther down, we stopped at the North Shore Winery, which is always a stop. I pick up the latest cider. They had a really cool holiday cider, and my wife sampled some of the different wines and got some for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. And we did find a shop, and pardon me here while I Google it here. It was one thing you notice when you're in, I don't know if this happens much when you're traveling back and forth. Yeah, I know you take your trip down to see your folks and all that, but up on the North Shore, like every other place has a gift shop, and it's always hard to decide which ones to go to because you're never sure. Well, it's like if you don't stop at one, you'll stop at another one. Well, we stopped at one called Fish Out of Water. And it's one that we had passed on the way up, going to Grand Marais, and then we decided to stop on the way back. And I'm looking for the details here. It's 6146 Highway 61 along the North Shore. And you can Facebook it or Google it. And it was such a cool little shop full of wonderful, wonderful knickknacks. And the owner was super friendly. I gave him a shout out on the Google reviews, and he was thankful for it. Kind of reminds me of what I almost want to do when I retire, just open up a little gift store. And, he told me some of the things, like especially once the summer season is over, a lot of business drops off, especially in touristy areas, especially like Ely, Minnesota or the North Shore, because people are not there, or they're going from point A to B. They want to get up to Lutz and Ski Resort, or they don't have time to shop at these smaller gift stores. So I definitely stopped. He had a bunch of CDs for $1, and I just said, you know what, I'll pick them up. I'm still a Luddite. I like CDs. We picked up a number of Christmas gifts, and again, I got years nearby, so I'm not going to talk about them. Another place we enjoyed, which I don't know, did we go to the agate shop in Beaver Bay when we were up north?
No, we did not.
Did not go that far. We will have to do that one of these days. Let me just Google the name. Let's see, agate shop. Oh, I'm going to feel stupid for this. I believe it's called Beaver Bay Agate Shop. Duh! And by Gumby it is. And you can go to beaverbayagateshop.com. It's been in business since 1946. It's a family run. And these guys are to rocks and agates as I was to comic books when I had Crazy Comics and Hot Comics. Wonderful gifts. Cory's seen the bookends I have on my piano that hold the omnibuses in place. And let me tell you, if you need some heavy bookends to keep your omnibus from tipping, that's the place to go. Always a stop for us. Again,
always tip your omnibuses.
Always.
Wait,
what? No. So I recommend checking that. And after that, that was pretty much it. Other than we went to the 2 comic stores that we mentioned last week, Toy Galaxy in Duluth, Collector Connection as well. There's one downtown Duluth that's always fun to stop at. But, you may not be traveling in the North Shore in the near future. You may actually be, maybe, I don't know, going to Disney. Give me a call. I'm looking for those little grenade-type Coke bottles at, at TSA when all bug nuts over. By the way, you can carry them in your check luggage, but you just can't carry them in your carry-on because of the liquid ban, not because they look like grenades. Although you may get some interesting looks, let me tell you. If you go to buy something, especially one of the things we're talking about, go check out your friendly local neighborhood comic store. If not, go online to one of the places Cory dropped. You can always rewind the podcast to get it. If not, go to Amazon. But you know what we're saying. Think locally, buy locally. That's always what we like to do. With that, Cory, what kind of things are you what are you thinking about when you're talking about gifts?
Well, the first thing I think about is gifts for my comic book friends. Then I think about things for my non-comic book friends. But I would like to point out here something that I have been a part of a few years in a row, and I'm pretty sure every city has it. Here in the Twin Cities, they have a what is the geek group? Twin Cities Geeks.
Couple. Yeah. Oh, there's a couple. Yeah. Twin Cities Geeks is the big one. They're the ones who kind of encompass the whole collecting area.
What they do, they set up gift donation boxes in comic shops and gaming stores and places like that. And I've taken part in it the past few years. And what it is, they gather all these up, and then the Saturday before Christmas, families come in and they get to shop for gifts. And we have toys and winter clothing and books, and they separate it out by age. They don't separate by gender, they separate by age. So it's okay, these are toys good for kids up to age 3, these are for 3 to 5 to like 11. So as you're doing your Christmas shopping, I'm just going to suggest that, hey, you buy 2 or 3 extra toys and donate the toys. They don't have to be wrapped, they just have to be new. One of the things that I donate every year, those 1,000-page Archie books. I buy 2 or 3 extra of those through the year and donate those. And I do believe we have a special guest, Joe.
We do?
Yeah, let me whip this out.
Hey now.
Grampy Dan Mohr.
What?
And there's Grandpa Moore. He's moving kind of slow at the junction.
What? Who? Huh? What?
Come on, Grandpappy. The secret's been spilled.
Not yet, it hasn't.
It has. Do we want to break kayfabe, or are we just going to go forward?
Of course we will break kayfabe.
Of course. Basically, what happened...
Don't break kayfabe.
We always break kayfabe.
We're
all at work.
We're honest with our listeners. We face it, people. You fucked up. You trusted us. No, actually, we had this.
Since when were you honest with your listeners?
We are
always honest with our listeners
because we are a national treasure
and beloved. We are beloved.
By these 3 of you, which we appreciate greatly. But through no fault of our own, Cory, we had probably one of the best podcasts ever.
Yes.
I mean, we were so good. In all seriousness, when we finished, Cory and I thought, you know what? We've reached it. We're at the peak. It'll never get better. People will listen to this one over and over and over again. And
we were ready to retire.
We were. And then 24 hours later, Cory, tell him what happened. Tell him, Cory.
Well, what it was, Joe and I were talking, and Dan, who used to be Dangerous Dan Mohr, was about 20 minutes late because he'd forgotten that.
Just fashionable for people, I mean, you got to remember that.
And so had trouble bringing him on to the call with Joe, so I said, no, I'll just call him. And I called him. Then I added Joe to the call. And if you looked on Skype, it said, oh, it's still recording. So we did the episode. And then when I got it ready to start editing, it's like, why is it silent after 20 minutes? It recorded the call that Joe and I were still having, but not the call that Dan and I and Joe were having.
Yeah. And so, the original one was absolutely nothing. It was like we were on hold. Which
you were on hold.
I hear some people out there are probably going, yeah, I could see 2 hours of you guys not talking might be the perfect podcast. And if
we don't like those people.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of nerve. Actually, no, it's the Howard Stern thing. They listen to us because they don't like us, which is fine. It makes our download rates look good. However, the podcast is now lost in time.
So we will soldier on.
However, I will offer a Joe prize to any time traveler who wants to go back in time and catch that gem of a podcast and bring it forward.
It is getting harder to get a Joe prize.
It's a significant reward. I mean, if I've only given out one so far, and I know the guy who's back there saying I haven't gotten it yet. Yes, because there's one piece I need to get. It will drop out of hyperspace soon, and then I will be mailing your Joe prize to you.
Wait, somebody actually got a Joe prize, but actually didn't get the Joe prize?
Well, if I got to make sure it's complete before I can send it.
He hasn't sent it yet.
No.
He's not as bad as me with mailing things, but he's close.
I know. I learned from the worst. So, what we were talking about,
we have Dan on the show
because we thought he had something to say, which is
Dan knows about gifts because
what?
The show is about gifts.
Right.
Yes.
Christmas. Holidays.
And you've got some Holiday Geek Expo coming up, I guess. Nothing? Dropping a hint for a second? Maybe.
Wait.
Dude, this is a podcast. Get up with us. Folks, it's Sunday morning, and I'm pretty sure one of two things have happened. Because what was your wife doing? She was doing something like for 15, 16 hours straight?
24.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So I figured, were you part of that, or were you just watching?
I was part of it. So, yes, I was up gaming for 24 hours straight.
That explains it. So while Cory and I are perfectly sober and bright on this sunny, if not chilly Sunday morning, you are basically sleep deprived.
I thought you were going to explain why you were calling me Grandpa.
No.
No. You got to do that, Grandpa.
Yeah, we're just foreshadowing. But the topic at hand was the upcoming
Holiday Geek Expo,
which is happening pretty soon.
Yes. This is dropping tomorrow, isn't it?
I don't
know.
Yes, tomorrow.
Which is why we want to get it done so Cory can do all his fast editing.
I don't care. He screwed up. I'm gonna make him wait. Yes, the Holiday Geek Expo. Yes, it is happening in 2 weeks. In about 2 weeks. Yes, it is December 7th and 8th. Huh? 2 weeks.
And what days is it on?
It is December 7th and 8th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday and 10 p.m. God, I did it again. I did this the first time too. 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Like a grandpa every day.
Oh, I know.
10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Shut up, Sonny.
And there better be toys.
It is 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Hallie Q. Brown Community Center, which is 270 Kent Street, St. Paul, Minnesota. If you go to Facebook, they were nice enough to put up an event for the 2 days, Holiday Geek Expo 2019.
Yes,
and I'll just read the details. It says this is a standalone convention. It's a dealer's room without the convention, free to the public. There'll be tons of geeky things to purchase for the holidays, and there'll be space to hang, and snacks will be available for purchase as well.
Yes.
So, and you got a list of vendors.
We got like Emerald Emporium, Highland Princess, Highland Princess Designs. See, I'm trying to think. We've got a bunch of artists coming in. Actually, more artists than we have, I think, in the past.
So
for some reason,
becoming
they've
a
just been.
convention.
Yeah. Well, no, because it's still more like. Well, yeah, I guess yeah, it's becoming.
Now the
kind of
question
like,
is, you're going to be there too, right?
well, for some of it,
Which parts?
I don't know. Depends on
Whenever
what I show
there's
up for.
booze,
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'm not going to bring the booze if you're not going to be there. I actually am hoping to get there on the 8th because on the 7th I'll got to work. That's my last day before Hip Watch 2 Electric Boogaloo. So I got a few days to play before I go into the knife, and I figure I'd do some Christmas shopping and look around and cast dispersions, things like that.
Oh, very cool. No, that works. Please, cast.
Basically,
Cast as many
look
dispersions as you'd like.
Oh my God! Did you see some of the dresses she was wearing online? Woo!
Oh yeah, and you didn't see the good one.
What?
Yeah, no, the one from Vegas you're talking about. Yeah, that was the one we could put up on Facebook.
Oh. So basically,
No.
I asked her to wear that to the Holiday Geek Expo.
Yes. I'll see what I can do about getting her to do so.
Nah, that's okay. She is so stunning. I mean, my favorite outfit of her is when she dressed up like Doctor Strange at one of the spring cons.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that was amazing. I think you were in the picture too, but I learned Photoshop you out. I did leave Wolfie. No. Oh, hey, is Wolfie around?
Of course I am.
Oh, good man.
Here, and I am awake, and I am half asleep. What?
I understand that the Jules and Dan brought home a competitor of sorts. Are you being replaced here? I'm getting a little worried.
I'm not being replaced.
I heard there's contentious negotiations over the Bad Advice podcast, and then all of a sudden I see there's a new presence in your household. I'm putting one and one together and getting 12.
Oh, please. Yeah, there's a new presence, but one can't talk well. And the other one, his idea of bad advice is actually trying to help people.
Oh. So,
I know.
So the negotiations are still ongoing. I just shouldn't sweat it. It's a tactic to get you more pay that you richly deserve.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Because of course.
Wait.
What?
We get paid?
Oh, I do.
I need a better agent.
Well, you get paid. You get paid in love.
I need a much better agent. Well, the reason...
Any more things to plug here before we continue on with our gift buying extravaganza suggestions?
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to bring Dan in is to hype the Holiday Geek Extravaganza Expo, but also it will be at the Hallie-Q. Now you have me saying Hallie-Q Berry.
Oh, yeah.
See, once you hear it, it's really hard to forget.
But there are at all of the comic shops and most of the gaming shops and places like that here in the Twin Cities, you'll see a big box that looks like it's wrapped like a present to donate gifts. And
Yes.
the giveaway to Toys for Tots, and I don't know if they're affiliated with Toys for Tots or if they're separate, but they do the actual giveaway for needy families at that center as well.
Yes. And I don't
So
think
if
they
you
are.
want to save time, money, and effort, and then spend time and money
Yes.
for very little effort,
Yeah.
you can bring the toys that you want to donate right to the Geek Expo, give them right there,
Give it up.
and one of the things that I talked about is that through the year, I pick up a couple extra of those Archie 1,000-page digests, and I give those to the charity functions when they're getting books and toys for kids, because think about it, 1,000-page comic for a kid, that'll keep them busy for like hours in the back seat of the car, and you don't have to put up with them.
1,000 pages?
Yes.
Hours?
Yes.
Sounds like something a grandpa might want to tap into. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, good God.
But let's start talking gifts, because the Christmas shopping begins on Friday.
Yeah, and we were talking graphic novels. My big suggestion, just to bring you up to speed, Dan, was that with the advent of licensing, okay, well, like I asked you in the Lost podcast, what's your favorite, I don't know, licensed property?
Licensed property. And as I told you then, you should freaking know.
I know, Transformers. So,
yes.
And IDW's got tons of Transformers books.
Yes,
that would be an ideal gift for someone like yourself. Ghostbusters, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Stranger Things. If there's a comic property that not necessarily superheroes, there's probably a graphic novel in it. And whether you go to what's your favorite place, Cory, that you do your graphic novels at?
If I don't pre-order them, I get them at either cheapgraphicnovels.com when they have sales, or over at In Stock Trades, which sells stuff probably around the same price as it would have been if you would have pre-ordered it, except for like the special discount. So like Marvel and DC trade paperbacks and hardcovers are usually 42% off. Let me go see.
Now, while he's doing that, the reason I mention that, because not everybody, like we have in our town, we've got The Source, we've got Hot Comics, we've got Comic College, which are fantastic places to go buy new graphic novels. They got them there. You can look at them. You can choose whatever property you want. We've also got half-price bookstores. We've got Nostalgia Zone. We've got, there's other shops that just, Steve Brown down at Cedar Cliff Collectibles, where he has graphic novels discounted. There, you might find something cool at a really good price, but you might not find the property you're looking for. Like you said, if you're coming down looking for Buffy graphic novels, it's a hit or miss. You're going to find them at The Source. You might not find them at Nostalgia Zone, but you might buy it for $5. So, and you might find things that you're interested in. That's my problem, Christmas shopping. I end up just buying myself way too much. So that was something I recommend. And whether it's a comic fan or a non-comic fan, think of someone like Cory and myself. How in blue blazes are you going to buy me a graphic novel, or Cory? Because he pretty much, his whole one half of his house is insulated by graphic novels. That's where he has them put up. So how would you recommend Cory or Dan, either one, buying for either comic or non-comic fan?
How?
Yeah, assuming a graphic novel is what you want to buy. That's kind of my number one gift that I love to buy people. I like to encourage reading.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would suggest making sure you pick out which one you want, and then I would put it in your cart, either physical or not. And then I would go to. How would you
know which one to buy for Cory?
Oh, I thought you said.
A non-comic fan's easy, because 9 times out of 10 you could pick them up something. We just saw Avengers. Okay, well, let's find a decent Avenger graphic novel or something. Or they like Stranger Things, so Dark Horse has Stranger Things graphic novels. But for a comic fan who probably has every comic book on the planet or access to it, how would you do something like that?
Well, okay. Well, with Cory, actually, the thing what I would do is I would pay attention.
That'd be a first.
That takes care of that. Man. Okay, no, anyways.
Yeah. I would pay attention to what while he's talking about things, and like talk. He will talk about what's coming out eventually, and what he wants to get, and what he's been interested in, and things like that. And what I would do is actually pre-order it, like absolutely immediately, and give him a card and tell him it's coming. Pre-order something he wants, and or if with him it's a little more tricky because of course he's going to pre-order it himself as fast as possible. So
that's
knowing knowing something like in January is going to be is going to become on pre-order, give him a card saying, "Hey, this is coming for you. Don't frickin' order it."
Yeah.
And then I would order it for him. It would be a late Christmas present, but the thing is, it's the only way to get a gift for him that I know for sure he doesn't have.
Well, the other thing too is I don't know if comic shops offer it, but a lot of other stores, you give him a gift receipt, maybe, where he could bring it back. And it's nice. Obviously, if you go to a place like Barnes and Noble or Amazon or whatever, which Barnes and Noble I condone. Amazon's fine, but you could get a gift card. But if you go to a place like The Source, ask them ahead of time, can I get a gift receipt or can they return this if they have it? And most places will exchange it, if not outright do a cash refund. And again, whether you buy it I condone going to small businesses, small bookstores, things like that. And I mentioned Barnes & Noble because they seem to be sucking cheese, so they probably need help too. But, there's a couple great ideas. Like you said, a pre-order or make sure you get that gift receipt. Corey, same question. How about
wait a second. We do need to say that doing that for Corey is actually a really good idea because that way it'll force him to get out of the house and actually, talk to people.
Which is kind of a rat bastard thing to do to him, but,
I talk to people all goddamn day at my jobs.
Yeah, but
no, you don't. You talk to idiots on your job.
Not people, not necessarily. However, same question to you, Corey. How would you either fan or non-fan? How would you go about buying a graphic novel for someone?
Well, for a fan, actually, I would not buy a graphic novel because they probably already have it if they're interested. So what I would do is buy original art. There are tons and tons and tons of artists out on Facebook who, when they have spare time, will say, "Hey, I'm taking commissions." And I've gotten myself a few commissions. I know that Angel Medina will post his warm-up sketches, and people will offer to buy those.
That's a great idea. I'll do a shout-out to I have no idea if he listens to the show, but he's friends with us, Dan Wiesenmeyer on Facebook. He does Lego art. If you've got a kid who really digs Lego, how would he like a character, his favorite character, done in Lego style? I don't know if Dan has time to do it now before Christmas, but it never hurts to ask and be polite.
No,
asking.
If you give me money, I will get it done.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And more artists who work in comics actually have web pages with art with business managers. I know, it's weird. People who have enough money for business managers. I just have an agent who does a terrible job at getting me paid. But where was I going with? Oh, and you can go to their webpage and they will actually have sketches up for sale that they've already done, or how to order a commission. I know there's an artist that both Joe and I love, Sarah Song, who, when we started following her, she would just put, "Hey, I've got spare time. Anybody want a commission?" Now, in order to do a commission, you have to actually check with her agent, see if she's got time, etc., because she's done so much stuff on Facebook that people love that she's in demand. Another thing about getting commissions, though, make sure you're getting it from somebody reputable. There are stories of people paying for commissions and then the artist not delivering them for years. So you'll want to check and see, are there a lot of people who are ordering the commission, posting the commission? You can go out to Bleeding Cool, which is a gossip site, but they're really the only ones who track that sort of thing. Nobody else seems to want to touch it in the comic news community. So, you don't want to pay $150 for a commission for the holidays and not get it. But there are a few people really, I can recommend Mark Stegbauer. He does great commissions, turns them around rapidly. Same for Richard Pace. Our own Dan Mohr.
Yes.
So
mention that you want it for a Christmas gift if you're doing it for a Christmas gift.
Yes.
Because timing can make a difference.
Okay, and with art, as an artist, I will say one of the worst things you can say to an artist is, whenever you get around to it.
Yeah, never ever say that.
No, never ever say that. Because so many of us are good at working to a deadline, but horrible if it's not. Because we will just sit there and go, well, they don't care when they're getting it, so I'll do this other piece first. Oh, well, they don't care when they're getting it, and that video game just came out. Oh, they
or
give us a deadline.
Even if they are somebody who draws all the time, anything that's, if they've got paid work that has a deadline, that's first priority.
Exactly.
So you're always going to be at the bottom of the priority list.
Exactly. So, but that's only if you don't give a deadline. Otherwise, you're just as important as anybody else.
The other thing to remember about comic fans is they're the only people on this planet you could buy a cardboard box for over the age of 5, and they're happy.
Oh, yeah.
You're like cats.
Damn straight.
Except I can't fit in a comic box anymore.
No.
Oh, we can make it happen.
And if all of our suggestions come to naught,
will be all mushy.
Steal.
Everything comes to naught. You don't want to do graphic novels. You worry about commissioned art. You just don't know what to gift. Well, I said it. Gift cards, gift certificates. Most, if not all, smart small businesses have gift cards. Whether you want to just go get a Visa card and say, here you go. I prefer, like I said, I love the source. I usually go get a $5, $10 gift card or certificate from the source, because that way I know at least my daughters will go to the source. Again, if Dan mentioned a predetermined one, if thinking, well, he probably likes an omnibus and I happen to like him, I'll give him a $100 gift certificate so he can go buy an omnibus and maybe get it on sale or something. I don't know. But that's always a good fallback. Visa gift cards are fun, but I think it's more fun to do it for an individual. Yeah, an actual store,
Yeah.
So there, we've given you great ideas so far, but is there more?
Well, you can always get comic-related stuff. I know on the one that we lost, we talked about pop figures.
Yeah.
And
those are surprisingly popular.
Those are a huge business right now.
And there's pretty much any property you can find. I mean, we were laughing because what was the one that Arseface from Preacher.
Arseface, yep.
And we didn't think there was one. But the old Kray 5000 went onto the eBays, and by God, there is one. Brand new. It has to be because they're selling them at a regular price. A lot of stores have exclusives, including comic stores. They have, what they call it, previews, PX exclusives. Mm-hmm. I know Walmart has them, Best Buy has them, Barnes & Noble. So those are highly sought after. GameStop ones are real popular. If you can, but you'd have to go on the secondary market, but anything from the defunct Loot Crate was always in demand. So, you can look. Target was big too. I always wandered through Target, and they always put the little sticker, Target exclusive. So,
yep.
If you're not sure, and again, leave a gift receipt with it. So if you happen to get one, they have. And this also helps too, because Dan, you're getting Cory a pop figure. What would you get him?
What would I get him? You mean other than Earth's face?
Yeah.
Okay. I would get him what my stepfather got for me for my birthday because it's just ridiculous, and it would show that I like Cory, and I gave him something that I like as well, which is Thanos in a Christmas sweater.
Oh my God!
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's Thanos in an ugly Christmas sweater. It's got like a little death on the front on the center of it, and then like Christmas lights. This is now sitting at my work.
Hang on, Santa's Christmas sweater. See, I always figure, oh my God, that is amazing.
Isn't it?
And the smile on him, oh, brilliant. See, I always looked at. I know, Cory, you said you had a ghost fighter. So if I could find a variant ghost fighter,
Becky Lynch.
Do they have a Grendel?
And Agent Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks.
So that would be something I would look. I'm looking to see.
No, I don't think they have a Grendel.
No, not yet. Nope.
No.
Oh, no. Well, GIDT metallic Piccolo Funko Pop, but that's not what we're looking for. So don't be confused. Although the Moonlight one looks well, there are people that custom make Funko.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Again, the same thing like with artists. I'd say, hey, could you make my buddy a Grendel one? Since nobody's snapped up that property yet. All these $1 million ideas going back.
You've got, if you have kids in your life, there are tons and tons and tons of young adult graphic novels now. It is the fastest growing category in comics. I imagine if they're a little boy, they've already got all the Dogman graphic novels. Because Dogman, the #1 selling book, not just comic book in America.
Dogman.
Yeah. Believe how people say,
Dogman.
"Oh, comics are dying." You realize Dogman sells of the I think there's either 6 or 8. They sell 1 million copies a month of that thing.
You got to know these things when you're a grandpa. Got to figure. Got to stay up on hot properties or whatever's going on.
Dogman.
Yeah.
Dogman.
It's like my son when he was young. When he was young, it was Captain Underpants, which sold phenomenally well, and comic book fans had no idea it existed.
Is that old?
Yeah. It's from the 90s.
Oh.
Now, I'll give you an example. Listen, Grandpa.
My dad and my nephew have been like doing a lot of that for the last few years, and so I'm like, oh, is that new?
Well, and let me ask you, what's one of the hottest toys right now out at Christmas? Just see if either one of you old guys know.
Oh God. Let me think. Baby Yoda is going to be
actually that stuff's coming surprisingly quick. So this toy I'll give you may be supplanted if those Baby Yodas hit before Christmas.
And
I'm surprised Cory doesn't know this because Cory loves llamas. I'm talking the Pets Alive Boppy the Booty Shaking Llama. It's a battery-powered dancing robotic toy that twerks.
Okay, Cory can't admit this stuff online.
Oh, he has before. But the point is that the toy.
I don't need a dancing llama. However,
trust me, you would if you saw this thing. It would crack you up.
If you got 50 big mouth basses that all sang baby metal songs, I'd buy that.
There's a bar down in Florida that does that. They put all the singing basses on the wall, and they're all coordinated to sing the same song.
Yeah.
One of them's staying alive.
One of them what? Staying alive?
I tell you, folks, I got a lot of time on the internet, so
we're about to have a buttload more.
I have a suggestion because you made the point Dan about how to get Cory out of his domain, his compound, and see the bright light of day.
Yeah.
Take him out to eat. Give your friend a gift certificate towards again, I lean towards local restaurants rather than chains, and just say, hey, let's get together and have lunch or dinner or pie. You gotta know what they like too. I mean, obviously taking Cory to like up in Duluth, there's a restaurant called OMC, Oink Moo Cluck. I don't think Cory, being a vegetarian, would necessarily appreciate that type of restaurant.
Well, yeah.
Oh, I don't care if other people eat.
Yeah, but that everything in the menu is meat. So even the water.
I imagine they have French fries.
Oh yeah, excellent. And beef tallow. Now you're not a vegan, right? You're not.
No, I'm not vegan. Because ain't nobody got that kind of time with 2 jobs, man.
Yeah. So, find a restaurant, take them out to eat. It gives you a chance to catch up on things, and I don't know. Cory likes Taco Bell. Take him to Taco Bell. I mean, I'm thinking something more fun. But so that's a suggestion.
Well, to be honest, if you ever want to take somebody to a fun restaurant, any place that's been on diners, drive-ins, and dives. I know it's cool to mock Guy Fieri, but on that show, every place he goes to is a small business, not part of a chain.
And he's been in the Twin Cities.
Oh yeah, there are a bunch of places. That's how I found Psycho Susie's. That's how I found the Darriette Drive-In. There's this new
it's amazing because I drive
restaurant / grocery store that I found that he had on a few months ago.
A grocery store?
Yeah.
Ooh.
They've got a restaurant. And they also sell all sorts of stuff in the plate. All sorts of Mexican groceries. So.
Oh, that kind of thing. Okay, gotcha.
So it was like, wow, I'll be going here for my enchiladas from now on.
Ooh.
Well,
it's actually an interesting point because everybody knows people that I don't know how to delicately say that, but they're not struggling, but they're paycheck to paycheck or whatever. A gift card to a grocery store, or again, if you just want to give them a generic Visa. This is especially popular if you have, younger high school, college age, just out on their own kids. They all appreciate that. A gas card, One of my favorite gifts I know I gave to my oldest daughter was I got her a lunchbox. I believe it was one of Joe Linsner's Dawn when he did the mini lunchboxes, and I filled it with $5 gift cards. I went to the Source. I got a gas card. I went to Target. I went to all her favorite haunts and just gave her just these $5 gift cards, and she loved it. And I felt good because I was supporting, helping her out, supporting local businesses, as well as giving her some practical things. I know in the case of my brother, when he was unemployed, I gave him $50 card to Cub. Something very practical. It's practical and helpful. So I don't think my brother would necessarily care for a graphic novel necessarily, but
we're here to force that on people.
Oh yeah, and that's interesting. I may have to come back and visit, or if I think about it, what would I get someone like my brother who has absolutely zero interest in comic books? He might be hookers. Oh, he's got that. He lives in Wisconsin.
Oh. No. They don't have crack and hookers in Wisconsin. They have meth and cheese.
Same thing. By a different name. And again, now thinking about it, he likes X-Files.
Did you say that's the same thing?
Yes, he did.
Well, I know people from Wisconsin. Trust me.
I just want to know. I don't want to know what they're doing to the cheese over there. Then.
Well, let's just say that Swiss cheese doesn't get holes by itself. Cory, have you ever heard of Tree Spirited Woman?
No.
Is this my wife?
This might be a book for her. This is actually. Before you got on, I was talking about gift stops that I visited on the North Shore because we did a quick trip up there. And at one called the Fish Out of Water up on Highway 61 there. I found this book called Tree Spirited Woman by Colleen Baldrica. And she's from Stillwater, which I thought was kind of amazing. And I asked about that. And he says, yeah, he met her a couple of years ago at his store, and he mentioned the book, and he said, hey, send me up your book. I'll sell it here. So I picked up a copy of it. And I'll just read a quick part on the back. This author is a multinational award winner. And the book says, embark on a personal journey of spiritual growth in life, enrichment as you discover Tree-Spirited Woman's unique perspective and lessons for life. And Colleen provides readers with an intensely beautiful story of guiding friendship between a young woman and a wise and mystical woman. So this might be something your wife might be interested in. Again, I found it on the North Shore, but it's a local author is what I'm getting at. If you go to a bookstore, especially small bookstores, Greg Ketter's Dream Haven Books in Dinkytown, and just Google local bookshops. You'll find tons of them around, and you go in and you'll probably find local creators and artists. And I picked this one up just because I was curious to read it, but this might be something your wife might be interested in. TreeSpiritedWoman.com.
This is the one that you went all the way to the North Shore to find a comic that came out of Stillwater, right?
This isn't a comic. It's actual. I discovered it by accident. In fact, if you go to the source, they actually have a section, and I've talked about this as I toured various comic stores. Local comic creators. You can't go wrong with that. Just support. Buy local.
I believe there's a couple of the first Everyday Gods books there, and that's the only place you can get them now.
Yes. Yes. Support Dan, support the source, support a local creator. So again, different ideas, thinking a little bit out of the norm. I gotta buy my friend a book. Well, buy a local book, local author. How do you guys feel about Christmas cards?
Who?
Exactly. It is so out of Christmas cards. Now the other question I have is, do you guys like those Christmas letters that some people send?
Now I've decided I need to create a new character, Christmas card.
Now, let me tell you, man, it may cost you 49 cents, but it never ship. My point is this: I used to love getting Christmas cards.
The point where we could say, "Hey, Dan, what do you think of the Silver Surfer?" And you go, "Who's that?"
Is that? So, Dan, I heard you got a new grandchild. Who's that? Ooh. Yeah, this could work. Who? What? Ooh. I think every time we have Dan on the show, we got to make sure he's been up for 24 hours before he comes.
Exactly.
It's a lot cheaper than getting him drunk first.
Or
a lot cheaper.
Or we just give him 2 Ambien.
Ooh.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we gotta buy that. I'm getting cheap here.
Getting.
Hey, I buy omnibuses. Buys. Buses.
I do not.
You guys
send
are not
Christmas
fans.
cards. I do, however, send Christmas cookies.
Yes.
And I don't send the Christmas letter. I have a couple relatives who do.
I don't.
And, I think with
Facebook,
the whole idea of the Christmas letters fading away, because we can keep up on what's going on in your life now.
Yeah, but not everybody's on Facebook, especially like when you start talking about older relatives that may not be hip to it.
My grandmother, who is in her 80s, is on Facebook.
Oh, Dan, you and I gotta find Grandma, and we need Cory stories. I did it with his sisters, and his sisters were nonplussed. Although what we did, when we had the episode about Ask the Strode, they did give me a couple good ones. And even Cory's ma wasn't, willing to cough up Dish. We need Dish on the Strode. I don't need to cast shade on him. I just want, I need Dish.
Does it have to be real?
No, that's April Fool's. We'll just make shit up.
Oh, okay.
Make stories up about Cory.
Well, there's our April Fool's show this year.
Hey, see, look, $1 billion ideas just springing forth. And of course, the
When
big
Cory
question.
was a young child, he would go to other people's houses, and while we were visiting, he would clean. That's why we're friends.
Matter of fact, he stole our mop. It meant a lot to me. Mop was like, and I know we skirt the issue because Cory doesn't like talking about it. But Dan, now that you're on the show, I can ask you: Is there such thing as having too many Optimus Prime toys?
No.
Thank you. I mean, I'm sitting here right now. I've got like 3 on my shelf. Well, 4. I got a little tiny Japanese one that fall off its perch, but good. I feel good about that.
I was gonna say,
The one I
think
missed
I
though
can
was
do 5 or 6 off the top of my head that I have.
I did miss the one where it was dressed up in Ghostbuster colors. I would have liked to get that one.
Yeah, I want to get the Ecto one.
Yeah, the Ecto one where it's the actual Ghostbuster vehicle.
Yeah.
You know, and I just missed they have a thing, the Minnesota Toy Geek, and they did their show on Saturday, and I neglected to go. Well, not neglected because I mean you, me, and the Strode, and maybe the Butch. I got to send him an email. Are getting together because we're going to do our Black Friday extravaganza.
Yeah, with
And
a
I
bunch
don't know
of snow
if we're
supposedly coming in.
record it or just talk about it as we move. Because I know we've got a number of stores we want to hit.
Uh-huh.
Well, the only one that is on my list that I absolutely want to hit is Nostalgia Zone.
Oh yeah, that, like I said earlier,
we rarely make it there, and they, for such a tiny space, they are packed to the gills, and then they have tons of, I don't know if they're remainder trades or trades that people have sold them or what, but they sell them like $5 each.
yeah, and they are in pretty good shape. It's not like you're buying junked out books or anything. I'd like to hit the source because there's a few specific items I want. They're doing a Black Friday sale. Dreamhaven's doing one, 20% off. In addition to, I think he said certain items will be like 75% off. I don't know if he's talking all week or just that particular day. I'd like to hit Cedar Cliff. There's a place out in Hopkins that we've been talking about going to for years that we've never made it. The Ultimate Collectibles down on 908 Main Street. So I don't know if that's out of the way, but ultimately we're going to end up at the Minnesota's largest candy store, if not the largest candy store. It could be.
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't think they claim that, although they do claim they have the largest selection of root beer, which is true. And hopefully we'll get some Rat Bastard root beer. I only got 1 bottle left, and I'm hoarding it. My precious. My precious.
You drink, Cory?
No. It's Rat Bastard root beer, not lousy Rat Bastard.
Oh.
Ooh, there's another $1,000 idea.
Yeah, especially since Rat Bastard root beer has become very hard to find.
Yeah.
Which is annoying.
Hey.
Any place you want to hit, Dan?
Yes, but I don't want witnesses, so.
We all know you go to Sexworld for the
Yes.
shoes.
If you want to go there, I know you like sensible shoes. We'll find you some.
Hey, I used to actually wear go-go boots on a regular basis, so, you know.
Well, there goes our
Boots.
explicit rating for another year.
They're comfortable.
Well, they kind of have to be because you're doing go-go dancing in them.
Exactly. The funny thing is, I'm not kidding on this.
I always wore Doc Martens. I still wear Doc Martens.
When the first year that we did the Wonka party room, and I was dressing up as Wonka, I needed taller shoes that were comfortable, but still looked at the toe professional. And the go-go boots fit perfectly, and they were 3-inch heels. And I wore those, and they were really comfortable, so I just started wearing them all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So go-go boots. There's an idea for people if they want to get stuff for
Something for Dan. Dan liked go-go
Yeah.
boots.
My big thing about the holidays is giving. So when we do our ads at the end of the year, I tend to turn it into us giving something. For the past 2-3 years, any money made from ads has been given to a charity. But I thought instead our ads this year would be direct charities. So here are our ads. Normally in this space we have advertising, but for the rest of the year, in the spirit of giving, instead we're giving our advertising time over to fundraisers to help people who are in need. And the best place to help comic book creators who are in need is the heroinitiative.org. The Hero Initiative raises money and helps creators with medical issues, finding work, fighting homelessness. These are comic creators who may be switching careers, may have fallen on hard times, or they may have worked in the business for a long time. And as you know, comic book companies, everything there is you're paid by the page. It's not a salary. It's not benefited. It's not with a retirement. So this is how we can help the creators who've made our lives better by their work. Head on over to the heroinitiative.org in order to donate or buy items. Artist Tom Lyle, who drew tons of comics over the years, including a run on Spider-Man during the Spider-Clone saga, helped create the Tim Drake Robin, passed away recently, leaving his spouse with medical bills. You can donate by going to GoFundMe.com and looking up Tom-Lyle to donate to help pay off those medical bills from his hospital stay. If you are a wrestling fan, you know who ODB is. ODB is a Minnesota gal who got out of wrestling and got into the food truck business. One morning she woke up and her food truck had burned to the ground. She is running a fundraiser at Indiegogo. So go to Indiegogo.com, put in Help ODB Get Cooking Again, and you can purchase her wonderful sauces, autographed pictures. All funds go toward helping her buy a new food truck so she can start her business again. These are people who need your help. If you know someone who needs help or has a fundraiser, please let us know by sending an email to solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com, subject advertising. And after the first of the year, when we get back to regular ads, you can buy an ad too. Again, it's solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com, subject advertising. Thanks. And one of those is for artist Tom Lyle, who passed away about a week ago.
Well, then why does he need the money?
Well, the hospital bills.
Oh.
The family still has to pay those.
Oh, okay.
What? I thought we had the best health care in the whole bloody universe. Well,
yeah, we don't even have the best health care in North America.
Oh.
But if you know of a worthy charity or cause that we should be putting in our ads for the rest of the year, just go ahead and email that information to us at solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com, subject advertising.
For instance, one good thing would be like Extra Life, which I was just up for 24 hours, and why I'm slightly loopy today. And what you should do is you should go to www.extralife.com and look up Mythic Retreat as the team, and you will see Jules, Ishmael, myself, Wolfie, and a couple others that were on our team, and you can still donate to put money towards the kids. That's right. Every single dollar goes to the Gillette Children's Network, specifically the Gillette Children's Hospital here in St. Paul, for anybody who does it to our team. So you are helping the kids, which I am usually not for.
Well, that's going to be changing.
You're loopy?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, learning how to change is a big, do some changing is a big part of it.
Why, yes, it is.
Yeah. No. You're going to be pampering somebody, and it depends.
Nope.
Yeah, he says no, but, trust me, he will.
Oh, no, trust me.
It'll happen. It'll happen. Trust me. Yep.
And the other thing about this time of year is Joe is going to be going under the knife, so he's not on eBay as much. But
The only way to get off work anymore is to have a surgery. And this year, electric 2 boogaloo, I'm doing the right hip. I got the green light from my primary care, and at the next podcast, we'll know if it's go. Because early morning, Black Friday, I will go see the actual surgeon. They'll look at my blood work. My main concern is that my diabetic numbers are low, where if it's too high, it hinders healing, and he won't do it. So who knows? I may just have the month of December off, since Cory already has a bunch of wonderful people lined up for our podcasts and stuff. I'll just sit back and enjoy the time off.
You do?
Well, no, I'll figure a way to horn in. I mean, maybe I'll start a podcast with Wolfie. I heard he's in negotiations. He might be a free agent.
There you go.
So, in the meantime, Cory, do you mind if I segue into eBay?
I am also
I was starting to set up the eBay thing, but
Okay, I'll do it.
You cut me off.
I'm more worried that we'll lose this podcast, and I don't want to lose my eBay.
Oh, okay.
Because as the time this podcast here drops, I'm starting a slow liquidation of what I have on my eBay. Now, of course, people that listen to the podcast can always send me a message and say, hey, I listened to the podcast. I'm interested in this. And what's neat with the way eBay system works, I can return an offer to you, like I did with one gentleman. He said, I listened to your podcast. I enjoyed. Hey, would you take 10% off on this? And I said, thank you for your listening. I'm sorry I'm offended by your offer. I'll give you 30% off. So, hey, it's crazy. I did start a store-wide 10% off sale, and I'll probably increase that. But if you see something you're interested in, you know what to do. Just drop me a line. I always love to share the love to our listeners. A couple things sold over the last couple days.
I love sharing the love.
Oh yeah, nothing like a good mouthful of felt. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That flame of blue hell was that?
That was a tribble.
Oh,
My wig. What I don't have anymore is an Action Comics 473. This is from 1974, a 100-pager in fine shape, which is, they're really, really hard to find anywhere higher than fine, because people read the snot out of them. Cory, you remember the Space Ghost miniseries from DC 2005?
Yes, it was excellent.
Space Ghost, as in Space Ghost Coast to
Yes.
Coast?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
However, this was a serious version of his origin.
Yes, they did do Coast to Coast as part of the DC Networks or Comedy Network Presents, so you could always find those. But yeah, this was a serious one. Beautiful Alex Ross covers, and they did a team up. Was it this year or last year where Space Ghost and Green Lantern teamed up? Because apparently Space Ghost lives in an alternative dimension, multiverse. Who knew? So we may be seeing more of him in the DC universe. So you can go out. The run about $20. Mine, of course, was a little under that with free shipping. I did sell a copy of Swords of Sorrow #1. This was a crossover from Dynamite, where this was the Valkyries variant cover. They were only given to stores who had Valkyries, which were women working in comic stores. And of course, our local source had 2 women, and they were qualified to get this cover. I think only like 500 were made. If you are interested, I do have 1 more left, because for some reason I got 2. You know me. Do I have this?
Why didn't you have all 500?
I worked on it. But I took a detour and picked up some Futurama comics. And these were interesting because they were the newsstand ones. Instead of having the weird code, they have the little Hitler mustache on the corner. And a guy sent me a note. He really wanted the newsstand ones, and I said, you're in luck, because the picture you see is the one that I had. I sold I had from, I think these were 2001, 3 Young Frankenstein 12-inch figures. If you know anything about Sideshow, you know they did these series of figures that were just amazing in detail. And I had bought these. I gave them to my folks as gifts, and they opened them. I thought I taught them better than that. And they displayed them for a while. They put them in a box, and now that they're slowly trying to get rid of everything in their house. They gave them back to me, and I'm like, well, these are really, really cool, but I too am trying to liquidate stuff, so I put them on the eBays and sold them right away. A couple other miscellaneous things. Bananas, number 34, the Scholastic magazine from 1982, which had, it was comics. And they had people like Steve Bissett and Rick Veitch that did art inside, which was kind of cool. Doctor Who number 1 from IDW in, it was the 5th series, but it was the photo retailer variant cover. So it had Amy, Rory, and I'm trying to think, Matt Smith, his doctor. My Little Pony 84 retailer variant cover that just came out a couple weeks ago. And sorry, Dan, you missed out. I had the Transformers Best of UK City of Fear number 2 retailer incentive variant cover in near mint shape. But no more. It's gone. What's left? Well, jump to the eBays. KRAYZ. I'm serious. I'm going to be slowly upping the discount because when I'm out, the store will be there, but you won't be able to buy anything. And of course, once I can finally sit back at the desk, hopefully in January, I will get that up, including all the tons of things I've got sitting around me. Oh, by the way, this isn't on the eBays, but if you're interested in the Mighty Thor statue here, as I slowly uncover it from, whoops, that wasn't the statue. It was not the statue.
He knows we can't see this, right?
Hang on a second.
Cory?
Yeah.
He knows we can't see this,
This is
right?
my old partner,
No.
Pat.
And I'm not telling him either.
What's
Okay.
that?
Nothing.
Nothing
Fine.
at all.
This is a cold cast porcelain statue, limited edition of 1,000. Fully painted, ready for display, sculpted by Seth Fanugal. And it's from the Hard Hero line. And Pat gave it to me because he had me try selling it at the charity booth. That will be next at the MCBA Spring Con 2020, which will be May 16th and 17th at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds in the grandstand. This is the big one. Don't worry, no tickets, no dealers, no guests announced yet because everybody's still sleeping from FallCon. But keep an eye on mcbcomiccons.com. Now, if you got something you want to donate for charity and still use it as a tax write-off for this year, drop me a quick line, either through the eBays or through the emails that Cory provides, or my Facebook page. We got a Facebook page too. You can. We'll figure out a way to get it to me. I'll get you a tax form, and we'll be talking more about that as time goes on. So that's pretty much it for the eBays. Oh yeah, all me, nothing but me.
Nothing but you.
And now that Joe's done all of his plugging,
Me.
Dan,
Don't touch my trouble.
What?
you're going to be up to for the next few months, and other than sleeping it off?
Well, yeah. I've got, I have, of course, the Holiday Geek Expo on December 7th
cow,
and 8th.
completed a sentence. Hooray!
Brown. Yay. Oh, I almost did. What was I saying? I don't know.
What are you doing at the Holiday Geek Expo?
Sleeping, hopefully. What am I doing? It's the Harley Q Brown Center at 2070 Kent Street in St. Paul, just off of 94 in Dale. It is free to get into, so nothing. We'd rather you spend your money at the dealers. However, as they said, Cory said that it is a spot where they do a lot of volunteer work, a lot of charity work. They do have a small food shelf there, so if you want to get in for even cheaper than $0, we'll cut that in half. If you want to bring in like a non-perishable food or something like that they can add to their food shelves, so you'll be able to get in for even freer. And yeah, and then they've got the toy drive, so you can bring in stuff to give there, or you can buy it right then and there at the Holiday Geek Expo
And donate it
December 7th
there.
and 8th. And donate it there. All the work can be done in one spot. Where else will you be told that? Except for
you want
brothel.
to answer that.
What?
I don't think you want to answer that, but you were in Vegas, so
Yes, I was.
Cory, I did check the Homeland Security files. I'll show you the footage later. Quite amazing. But Cory, what are you up to these next couple months?
podcasts.
This was your chance to, podcast. Mention the podcast.
Oh, yeah, podcasts work. More.
Yeah, podcast work.
But
How many-
right now, there's only one thing I'm concerned about.
Which is?
Oh.
No. It's not the fact that Joe might know that I have more than one bottle of Rat Bastard root beer hidden away in my house.
What?
It's
I'm on my way.
freaking and geeking, Joe. What are you freaking on?
Well, it's a little late, and the surprise is out of the thing. But of course, 1 week ago, as this podcast here drops, the most astounding thing happened. It never to be repeated. And do you, Cory, in your anxious state, and Dan in your sleep deprived state, and Wolfie in your Wolfie state, remember what it was?
A week ago.
Yeah, we're talking November 7th, 1978.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know it. I know what it is. I know
It is blotted out in most boomers and what came after boomers? Whatever.
Gen Xers, like us.
Yeah.
Our collective memory. I'm talking, of course, of the Star Wars Holiday Special.
The greatest Star Wars story of all time.
Yeah, I mean, so great that Disney can't even put it on their Disney Plus service.
But it was referenced in The Mandalorian.
Was it really?
Yeah, they mentioned Life Day.
Oh, brilliant. So,
my
if
God.
you want kitties, head to the YouTubes. Observe the darkest of the dark side. Not even the Sith are this dark. Matter of fact, it is so bad that our sometime Star Wars buddy, Eric Jackman, a.k.a. Turbo, has vowed revenge. Hasn't gotten it yet, but he has vowed it. I sat him down and made him watch it.
Why would he vow revenge? I mean, you got B. Arthur singing. You've got
Oh my
Jefferson
God.
Starship performing.
I do, and you got Wookiee
You've
porn.
got a coked out Carrie Fisher barely remembering her lines, and Harrison Ford probably the reason why he wanted Han Solo killed off every other movie.
Oh my God. I have yet to see this travesty, by
Oh,
the way.
Oh, you've
It's
got
on
to.
YouTube. It's
You've
free.
got to. It is amazing.
Oh. Check
It
it out.
is
Check it out. Just
pure
pause the podcast. Check it
seven-
out.
It
We'll
is
be here
pure
when you get
seven.
back. Your brain cells may not be. Actually, Dan, instead of sleep, you owe it to yourself. Give yourself an hour and a half and watch it. Because in your mode of sleep deprivation, you'll probably get more out of it.
I have been told not to listen to Cory when he tells me to look up things.
Yeah, but I
Just
told you.
because no. I always tell you not to look up things. Like, for the love of God, do not look up Lemon Party.
Too
Was it
late.
Lemon Party.
What's
Or
Lemon
two
Party?
podcasters in a cup.
Oh my God! What the hell? Why would you tell me to look
Okay.
this up? Oh my
I
God!
tell you not to look it up.
My eyes are burning.
Meanwhile, to finish the freaking, I felt bad for my daughter. She got a brand new car. First time she ever signed one. It's not brand new, but it's a newer one. Very reliable. She, of course, scraped it. Somehow she was backing up, and she felt bad because she scraped into my truck,
Oh,
which itself is, it's at the point where I don't care if it has more scrapes. Matter of fact, a few more scrapes adds character to it. However, she felt terrible. I feel bad. Obviously,
how's
her
your
wet
truck feel? Does your truck
bad.
feel okay?
Well, we'll get to that in the geeking part.
Oh.
So, anyway, the other thing is, and this is just, I'm not going to rant on this too long, but oh my God, we got some of the dumbest ass drivers in the universe here. It's freaking amazing. You know, I went to go pick up my drugs, and you know how parking lots are set up. You go one way to find your parking spot. So I'm at the end. I'm waiting to turn, and some chicken steak comes pulling up in his Land Cruiser 4000 pickup and is like inches from my bumper and is looking at me like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude." I just kind of look at him. He waves a handicap sticker at me. His intention was he didn't want to drive his precious vehicle an extra 20 feet to go to the handicap stall facing the correct lane. He wanted to cut in front of me, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And
Did you wave yours back?
oh, I was going to wave something at him, but then I'm like, "Oh, whatever." I just stood there for like about a minute, and he just sat there and looked like he was going to stroke out. And I was like, "Good, I'm right in front of Health Partners. Do it." Finally, I just got at me. Like, he looks at me like it's my fault. I'm like, "You dumbass! How did you get to be that fucking old by driving like a goddamn idiot?" And then a block later, I pull up to a four-way, and there's a guy on a two-way street that's not got the, you know, the dashes down the middle, but he's all the way over in the left lane looking at me like, "Why are you in my way? I have to take a left turn onto your two-way." I'm like, what is this, two mental midgets in less than a block? And I just look at him like, what the F? Get out of the way. And again, he looks at me like I'm the problem. People, you're lucky I'm not homicidal or prone to road rage. And you're lucky my horn doesn't work in my truck at the moment. So I'm like driving away. Just like, calm down. Maybe they're just mental midgets. I'm just on that side of town. No, at the very next intersection of four-way. Okay, see if you can contemplate it. I got to turn left. I didn't get there on time, so the car to the left of me went through the intersection. Now it's my turn to take a left. Well, the MF behind the first car decides, "No, I'm taking my left before you," because he's that goddamn important. And almost sideswipes me, and again looks at me like, "What are you doing? You're in my way." I was like, oh, Kray just surfaced. Folks, maybe off podcast, Cory can explain why I was called crazy all those years at the comic shop. But I was just ballistic. I swore the next person gets in front of me, I'm going to cause a serious car accident here. I don't care anymore. Kray is on the move. Well, it happened a few intersections later. I pull up and I'm ready to take a left, and the person taking a left is like going about 2 miles an hour. And I'm trying to figure out why. Well, this person's trying to piss off the person behind her who is also going like 5 miles an hour. Do the math, folks. She was trying to bump her without bumping them. And of course, had they actually bumped, they would have plowed into me. And I was like, oh my God, I was reaching for my phone and said, I got to call these two idiots. And this was a young person. I was like, how are you going to live to be an old chicken steak who does stupid ass shit on left turns and parking lots if you're trying to create an accident right now? Do you want to know what saved me and has now turned it into a geeking? Guess what the two cars behind these two mental midgets were?
Police cars.
Yes. And the best part was I watched because I couldn't take my left turn because there was oncoming traffic. And within a block, they lit their lights and pulled these two idiots over. Oh, thank you, Lord. No porn for me for a month. Not that it matters. I'm getting my hip fixed up anyway. So, and of course, I don't know, Dan, the last freaking I told everybody last week, I'll share it with you. You know how when the Avengers came out, there were death threats if anybody gave away any spoilers?
Yeah.
I'm not threatening people this time with Star Wars. I am not going to be able to see Star Wars right away because it comes out 1 week after I get my hip operation. So if I read a spoiler, whatever, it happens. I don't care. I figure the Avengers was the best spoiler free you could get. I mean, was it 12 years, 22 movies, 23 if you count Howard the Duck? And I do. So that's pretty much it. Dan, what are you freaking on?
I'm not going to say.
Oh, come on, man. You sound like an old fogey, like a guy sitting around the house wearing his pants high, complaining about the government, having whiskers and hair grow in places that didn't have whiskers or hair before. Like when you get up, you have to go, oh! Or when you're in the bathtub, a gallon of water pours out of your belly button. I mean, you're sounding like that. What's up here?
Maybe Wolfie will tell us.
Yeah, Wolfie, tell us what's up with Dan. Oh, are you sitting on Wolfie, Dan? I don't know if that's lucky or not.
Well, that's true.
Cough it
What's
up.
really funny. No, what's really funny about this is that I actually probably shouldn't have said anything last week.
Too late.
Too late.
No. That is the funny thing is I made sure that it was okay that I did. So freaking has been a little weird in the last few weeks because I'm going to start with one and then I'll go into the other. So we were in Vegas, as was mentioned a couple times. We were in my wife and I were in Vegas. Jules and I were in Vegas, and we came home, and I sat down next to our bearded dragon cage. Mushu is our bearded dragon, and he's been acting really weird these past few weeks, and we didn't know why. But we thought maybe it was because of lack of calcium, because we did look up that, and that can cause irritability and stuff like that. But what was really weird is he's been also doing things like he's been burrowing under his flooring, which is like a little mat, and sleeping under there, which also seemed weird. But I was just sitting there, and I look over, and all of a sudden this white pill-like thing comes out of his backside. And it was huge. It was like a horse pill. And I'm like, holy shit, no wonder you've been upset if you are that constipated. And at the same time, I'm like, but it's white. And I'm like, I know that their urine is white and it comes out solid, but still, this thing is huge. So, I'm like, kidney stone up the ass. Oh my God, that had to hurt. But then the second one came out. And I'm like, okay, that seems really worrisome that he was that badly impacted. And then when we got up to 7, I started to really panic. Looking up all this stuff, and finally, by accident, find a picture of infertile dragon eggs, and come to find out we have a female dragon. And didn't know it.
I know. I bet you Wolfie knew it.
Where do you think the pills came from?
Yeah. But they were infertile, so it's not like we're gonna have little dragons coming out. But the thing is, it was really weird because of course we thought we had this male dragon, and suddenly it started dropping eggs. So now, if that was the only pregnancy in the house, that would have been fine.
Whoa! Whoa! You and Jules?
No.
You and Ish?
Whoa! Hey, it's
Yes,
the
we
21st
are
century.
set for life. No. The stepdaughter had been sick for like months. Almost constantly throwing up and, not feeling well and stuff like that. They did pregnancy tests. 4 of them came back negative. Finally, during a deep ultrasound, suddenly they came back and went, well, guess what? So, yes, my stepdaughter is pregnant. Now, all the jokes about being grandpa. And let me explain why to the listeners.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah,
I got a rocking chair you can have if you want.
Oh, yeah. Let me explain why I say that to the listeners.
Schedule. I mean,
Huh?
your sweater.
My sweater.
Joe's got his grandpa's sweater.
Yeah, I'll borrow it
Yeah,
to
there
you.
you go.
I need it back because in case ECW makes a comeback. But
Yeah, my problem is not the idea of being old. I mean, I know that I'm in my 40s. That's fine. And also at the same time, of all the adults in the in my household, I'm the youngest, so I'm never going to feel old. Now, um, the thing is, however, um, for people who don't know my situation, is like I live with Jules, and I live in Ishmael is her other partner, and has been around since Sammy was born. So Sammy considers Ishmael a second father. So her biological father is still around. Ishmael is considered whatever her father, and I am just the stitch. Even when I'm not really a stepfather. I'm more just the stitch. This kid does not need 6 grandfathers. Okay. So
Could you imagine? Could you imagine the day that Dan brings this poor child to the mall? I could just see the kid. I lost my grandpa, and the cop will go, "Well, what's he like?" And he'll just say, "Jack Daniels and women's with big tits."
I have always had the problem though of kids. I am not a kid fan. But at one point, I was, I love toys, so I worked at Toys R Us. I had this small blonde girl who had to have been.
Whoa! We're trying to get rid of explicit rating.
Yeah, no. We're not talking anything sexual here.
Sorry.
4-year-old little blonde girl had lost her parents. Comes walking up to me and looks up at me, and I'm just looking down at her, trying to figure out what to do. And suddenly she latches onto my leg. I mean, latches. I'm walking around with this kid attached to my leg, showing people by raising my leg with this kid on it, going, "Is this yours?"
Please remove it from my boots.
So I've always had problems with kids, and now I've got one that's coming that's going to be around all the time. I am going to find a way to make a Stitch Cave, which is going to be a small panic room where where I will go hit a button and it will not open until everything under the age of 18 is out of the house.
But other than that,
Freaking
everything's
on.
cool.
Cory,
So if
how
you have
are
any
you?
good grandpa advice for Dan, Cory, tell him the email to send it to.
So, Cory, how are you?
What am I freaking on?
I don't care.
Is that what
How
you
are
mean to say, Mr. Bride, soon to be a grandpa and never get a lick of sleep again? Oh, soundproof the room, by the way. That's a.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, and
Yes, Cory.
You have Disney Plus?
Yeah, we do now.
I was going to say, you will.
Yeah.
You will.
Speaking of which, you will like this. Last night on the 24-hour gaming, we were actually live on a guy's Twitch stream, and towards the end of it, when we were getting really loopy, he has not watched The Mandalorian yet either, and started threatening people with being banned from his site if they gave away anything. So I said, "Well, there's a lot of Mandalorian armor," and it was a joke. He meant to pop me out of the chat window, but he accidentally actually banned me from his site.
Oh my God!
So, and it was great. He's like, "No, I just got you out." I'm like, "No, it's gone. I can't get back in." So he had to sit there and figure out how to unban me. And it was great because I come back out. He's like, "Great, a joke that made me actually do work." So I got back on and I said, "Lots of Mandalorian armor, tons of Mandalorian armor." So anyway, Cory, what are you freaking on?
When I work a lot, and Friday I got home around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I knew I had to turn around and be back at work early the next afternoon. So I wanted to go to bed, get some sleep, so I could wake up and get stuff done, because the house was in desperate need of the cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Cory knows one. Dun, dun, dun.
So I get home, I turn up the heat, head to my room, and I do not hear the fan for the furnace kick on. I hear the furnace kick on, Usually the furnace kicks on, and after about a minute or so, the fan kicks on to blow that warm air throughout the house. Nope.
Warm
fan
hair?
didn't stay on. Oh, well, maybe it's just taking a little while. And 10 minutes later, I realized it's not going to turn on. Now, with my natural gas, you can pay to have insurance on your natural gas appliances. And I've been paying that for over 20 years. I've used it 3 times. So I figure, oh, let's get them out here because it's Minnesota and it's winter and I have no heat. So I am on hold for 45 minutes.
And we all know how much Cory loves being held.
But
Yep, I do it all the
such
time.
wonderful advice as make sure your furnace is turned on.
Believe me, Cory was next to it going, "Oh, please, baby, I love you so much."
No, it was, I'm going to take you out for a lobster dinner tomorrow.
I'm going to write that one down, see if it works with Chris. Lobster dinner.
And
It's like
finally they said,
like when your
okay,
internet's down.
we will be there tomorrow sometime
Mhm.
between 7:30 a.m. and 11:30 at night.
Oh,
Well, I have to work it too, so I said, here's this way to get into my house. Go to Joe's house, ask for a key,
eh.
because Joe hands out keys to everybody. But, that was all set and everything. And then about 5 yesterday, I got the call that someone will be there in a half hour. Oh, cool. And then I didn't get a call because I left a note for the repairman to give me a call once he had done if he needed, my approval for any parts or anything. But I never got a call. So I check online and it says that my appointment had been canceled. So I call and say, what the hell? They said that when they dispatched the repair person to my house, he was diverted because of a gas emergency.
Sorry, I had Taco Bell last night.
That's what I thought. But they will be coming today, supposedly.
Oh, good. I didn't have Taco Bell yet.
But no, I don't have a space heater, but I do have one of those plug-in radiators that look like the old radiators in a apartment building, and it works the same way. It's filled with water, and it heats up the water, and then the water flows through this radiator. And so I plugged it in and was able to keep my bedroom warm Friday night. But boy, none of the rest of the house was warm, including the bathroom. So after my shower, I got dressed faster than is humanly possible. I slept at the group home last night, and right now I am doing this podcast while my feet are next to the radiator. It has traveled with me through the day. So that's what I'm freaking on. Joe, what you geeking on?
Again, a little late, but, November 17th, 1993. Oh, what am I talking about? 1992. See, look, I'm all flummoxed. And I slept well. Guess what happened that day in infamy?
I know.
What is it, for one with the fuzzy tongue?
That would be when you and somebody else opened up Hot Comics.
Very good. Close enough. We bought it. That's when we actually took over. And I think that was the week Superman croaked, which was a fantastic week to have a comic book store. So if you ever want to just send me a flower or something, or a reverse Joe prize, I need November 17th. That much appreciated. Yeah. So that was kind of cool.
Black armband.
That was part of the Superman thing. So go rip open your mint copy of Superman 75 and wear your black armband at the same time.
Yes.
Let's see what else. Oh, we were talking about the geeking on my truck. I actually brought it in and had the killer airbag taken out and installed with a less lethal one, and at the same time,
Where's the fun in that?
I know. Now I can't. Now I have no reason to hit dumbass drivers who've gotten. Sorry. This is geeking. Just calm down, Kray. Okay, I feel better. The plus side is he also replaced. And again, I'll give a Joe prize whoever wants to dig this out. A number of years ago, I started to the seat started to burn a hole in the back, the seat warmer. And I didn't think much of it because, okay, the car is from 2005. It's an old car. I just won't walk around with ice cold buns all winter, Hey, now. I mean, they're metallic. I don't feel it as much as I used to. And anyways, they discovered there was a recall and they replaced them. So now I get out to my truck and I can, even though it's the weather outside is frightful, my buns feel so delightful. And I can go to Taco Bell, let it smell. Oh, by the way, in case the good people of Taco Bell are listening, this is just for humor. We don't mean to be disparaging. If you want to send us tons of Taco Bell, and we will gladly review it and give you, whatever positive reviews we can garnish. Always got to protect ourselves. Never worked with KFC when we were talking about their double down, but
yeah, they never got a hold of us, the bastards.
Never. So that was cool. Have you guys gotten Disney Plus at all? Either one of you?
Yes.
Grandpa, Cory? Have you watched anything yet?
No.
I watched the first episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that when I wake up from
Man,
it.
half DeLorean, Mandalorian.
Well, Chris and I had a deal. When I think I talked about
when he
this.
hits 88 miles per hour.
Well, they haven't done that yet, but if they do.
Yeah. Same thing as playing Led Zeppelin at 78. You'll see God. I was having one of my episodes, and I've talked about this, where I have allergic reaction to stuff, and I get all tingly and itchy all over my body, and my no, not that type, I wish. And my face turns beet red. I have not had it where my breath has been cut off, thank God. So it happened before I went to work as opposed to happening at work. I can't remember how many years ago it was. Again, a Joe prize for everyone wants to look it up. But the first time I actually was at home, I think it was before Christmas, I ended up going to the hospital. The second time I was at work, and I ended up going to the hospital. So I got to take off an ambulance ride off my bucket list. Not with siren, though, but, either way. This time I know the feeling. I know when it's coming. I take up a Benadryl, and I sit and I ride it out. And I just call work. I wasn't going in because, as you know, anybody who's taking Benadryl or stays up 24 hours for a good cause, it really makes you tired. And so I sat back, and as I got home, Chris came home and was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Oh, I had a reaction, blah, blah, blah." "Are you just staring at the TV?" "Yeah, I guess I am." "Well, why don't we turn it on?" And we chose Disney Plus. And the first couple of things we watched was, they under the National Geographic area, they have a two-parter on Yellowstone. One covers Yellowstone in the wintertime, one covers it in the summertime, and dealing with the animals and how they survive and things like that. And I love nature shows like that, so that was fun. Second thing we watched.
I love natural shows too.
I know, I'm waiting for yours. Guardians of the Galaxy. Ended up watching that. We opened up one of the ciders that I picked up from the what's the place on the North Shore we always visit? Oh, North Shore Winery. And Chris picks up wine. I just say, "Give me the new cider you got." And this was Sawtooth Mountain. And it says, "Up here in the Northland, we love to sit outside and watch the world go by. We call this porchin. This apple ginger cider has a touch of mint, and made with 100% Minnesota apples. We killed the whole thing." So that was fun. Reading wise, I just finished autobiography, Me, by Elton John. And you know me, I love my celebrity biographies. By the way, I've got one on Ron Jeremy. I don't feel right dropping off at a free library. I did almost do it to the the one that was affiliated with a church, but I behaved myself. So, but if you want it, I'll give it to you free. Just drop me a line. But this one was really
But
good.
if you do, Joe, if you do give it to a church, remember, they have to forgive you.
Yeah, well, it depends on the church, but I'll make sure it's a forgiving church. This was a good. I mean, I love Elton John. One of my first 45s was Crocodile Rock, and what was the movie that came out with him just recently?
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man. Thank you.
Man.
Rocket Man. He never talks about that, but he does talk about a lot of other things. For example, when he had Princess Diana over, and at the time he invited, I think it was Richard Gere and
Ron Jeremy.
No, he didn't know Ron Jeremy. I believe it was Sylvester Stallone. And he was talking about how Princess Diana had this effect on men where they just instantly fell in love with her and wanted to, get to know her. Well, Richard Gere apparently got to her first, much to the chagrin and anger of Sylvester Stallone, who spent the entire time angrily thinking he was going to beat the living shit out of Richard Gere. Even to the point where Elton came out onto the wherever the outside was, and he saw these two. It looked like they were going to have an old-fashioned fist fight over Princess Diana. And he kind of broke it up with humor and dinner, whatever. But Sylvester Stallone left and was pissed that I would have made time with her if it wasn't for him. And for her part, she was totally oblivious of it, but her and Richard Gere hit it off. So just one of the interesting tidbits. Elton does not hold anything back in this, as you might imagine if you saw Rocket Man. It's the first part of it, of course, is his rocky, crazy days where he's drugging and sexing and, amazingly didn't kill himself. And then when I got to the end of that, I took a pause and I go, wow, I don't know what's left. Oh, it gets better. I mean, especially now that he's sober. So I got mine at Barnes & Noble because, you get 30% off because it was a new book, and you get an extra 10% because you're part of their club or whatever. So just another celebrity bio that I just loved it. Absolute fascinating. And I saw the movie and I still got the 45. He is on his final farewell tour. I know my wife and I priced out tickets. Amazingly expensive. And we decided we were going to pass because we did see him on one of his other tours. So that was kind of cool. That's pretty much it for me. Dan, what are you geeking on?
I am geeking on the fact that you forgot what the name of the winery was at the North Shore when it was North Shore Winery. How did you do that? You haven't even gone under the knife yet. You're not on the drugs yet. It was called the same thing as where it was. You said it in your question.
That's our Joe.
Otherwise geeking. What am I geeking on? I don't know what I'm geeking on. Oh man. I'm really actually enjoying the new Dark Crystal series. Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. I've watched that a couple times now. I love the Skeksis so much. To the point where I watch the show, I will fast forward through everything and go to the Skeksis scenes. And I've actually got the pops of a couple of the Skeksis now. That was a good series. I just picked up actually the Dark Crystal, not omnibus, but graphic novel of the creation myths from the series, which was really cool. And I just finished that. That was fun. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm looking forward to going to bed.
Is that an offer? Has this Elton John bio thing really got you going? I mean, you're not my type, but what the heck?
Yes, Joe. It was an offer.
Oh,
I am here.
I knew Wolfie.
Yes. Happy
Give me
Duck
some-
and
Give me
Happy
some.
Duck, Angry Duck.
Give me some. Oh, it's hairy, but worth it. Right, Treble?
When I was at the last, or not the last one, but one of the last conventions I went to, I brought out. There's actually two new puppets. The dragon that I brought back from Las Vegas, but before that was a rat named Leroy. It was just kind of,
Leroy Jenkins?
well, he's named after me. You see, I was going into situations that I shouldn't have been going into long before this wow guy was around. I don't understand. He thinks he's this big thing, but I would run through mazes to get to cheese. I would sit there and I would just plow through the wall, or at least that was my plan. Then I hit the wall and just knocked myself out for about 5 hours. But those were the days, I tell you. Anyway. So I got introduced at Icon, and it was a really weird introduction because Wolfie was already out, and so we both were out. But this idiot over here doesn't know how to use his left hand very well when it comes to using the puppet. So I wasn't speaking as well, and I didn't like it. So he and I had issues, and it was just, yeah.
And that's your geeking?
No. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Cory, what are you geeking on? I'm John.
So, Cory, this is going to be our grand 5-hour podcast, right? We're going to keep Dan here with us for the next 4 hours.
Yes, because the podcast is keeping me warm.
Oh, one last thing I actually was geeking on is that at GalaxyCon I did a new piece of art. We mentioned it in the last recording, but we haven't mentioned it here. I just started doing a piece of art where I had Thanos in one corner, and then I started drawing a couple heroes from different genres of comics coming after him. And I put in about 6 or 7, and then looked at Jules and said, "Should I try to fill this?" And she said yes, and I went, "Shit." And so
Cool.
I put it up on Facebook. I asked people to just give me random heroes from any comic book series, and people started throwing them out. And Cory gave me the Human Torch, which I was not expecting. I was actually expecting him to give me the character from Mage, the Hero Defined, which I had already put into the picture for him, but then he gave me a different one, so I had to put yet another one in for him. I ended up, by the time I was finished, the drawing has over 40 characters in it. And
Now, were you there as a guest, or were you just there for fun?
No, I was just there as a vendor. We got into it by accident.
How was the turnout?
It was good. It was good. There were slow times, but for the most part, it kept fairly steady. So I'm sure they got at least the minimum of what they were looking for. From what I heard from everybody that had been at both, it was much better than Wizard World. People actually came and enjoyed it. And
well, that's not hard. Getting kicked in the crotch is better than Wizard World.
Yeah.
Were there many like retailers? A lot of comics, a lot of toys, a lot of miscellaneous.
Oh, tons of stuff. I ended up actually finishing up my Menasor Transformer because somebody there had them. So,
cool.
Yeah. So now I actually
Did you see any of the normal suspects that you normally see at like local shows, or were there some out of town people?
Both actually. There were quite a few people from that normally go to SpringCon and FallCon were there. In fact, I talked to a lot of them throughout the weekend.
What was their reaction?
It was mixed. It was very mixed. Either people were doing extremely well, or they were not happy with how they were doing.
Did you do any convention on the planet?
Yeah.
Did you do any of the celebrity stuff?
I didn't. Jules did. Mm-hmm. She went and had her picture taken a couple times with Nichelle Nichols.
Yeah, cool.
And then also after the second picture, and having been able to talk to her just for a little bit, she got inspired and made a pendant, and actually gave it to her. And cool. Nichelle Nichols was very happy, wanted to put it on right away. So we got her a silver chain, and she put the pendant on a Saturday. And after Jules came back, and she was very emotional about it because Nichelle Nichols was an inspiration to her. So when I went up and wandered off, I went up to her table. She was free at the time, and I thanked her for, explained who I was and thanked her for what she did for Jules. And it was funny because when she finally realized that, I was the husband of the woman who had given her the pendant, she kind of looked at me funny. I'm like, what? She's like, you're not here to take the pendant back, are you?
Oh,
I'm like, no, of course not. She's like, good. I was going to have my son attack you.
wait a more music story. Yeah, I just as a sidebar, I saw online a number of friends who went, guys who got in line to see Batista. One of my old subscribers, Truett, gets pictures with the various doctors, and of course, Christopher Eccleston was there, and his whole family was pictured, which was a brilliant idea. I mean, I don't go to a lot of these shows, and if I do, I rarely pay to see people. But if I done it, I'd like to see Shatner. I probably would have done George Takei just to get him to sign his graphic novels. I'm assuming.
Yeah. It was.
I have another George Takei impression, by the way.
Yeah.
This is from one of his appearances on the Howard Stern Show. Hey, boner.
That sounded like Jeff the Robot from Craig Kilborn's show.
The other part of that, when you're saying, did I do any of the celebrity things? It was really weird because with the conventions that I have been a guest at, like the different anime conventions, the voice actors, some of the voice actors I knew, they were like friends of mine. So it was like, oh, these are big name people, but they're just people that I've hung out with. So it was kind of really weird. So I was going up to.
I didn't even know how we feel when you're like, oh, Dan's a guest of honor. Him? Really? I mean, we're like, oh, good for you.
Yeah. It's like, why?
And of course, then Wolfie will say, hey, boner.
Get in my belly.
No, well, eventually my belly.
Someday,
there we go. There's the explicit rating, folks. Good night.
Someday, somebody's going to listen to one of these podcasts and annotate every pop culture reference we get. And I will give them the super secret coveted double Joe prize. But not today.
So, Cory, I think I've tried to say this a couple times. What are you geeking on?
Well, I plan for when I'm going to be at the group home and it's going to be dead boring. I was going to mix the podcast, but I wouldn't be able to because we're recording it now. So instead, I brought the complete Man-Wolf.
Ooh. God, he stopped gripping his giant-sized man thing.
Well, the man thing is an omnibus. And the Morbius the Living Vampire will be an omnibus, but Man-Wolf did not last long enough, so it's just a trade paperback that's complete.
Oh.
The first couple stories were, of course, in Spider-Man, and then he got his own series because Marvel was basically anything horror-related. Oh, my God, we need to get this out while people are still buying horror comics. And the first batch of issues of Man-Wolf are terrible.
Does this cover his Spider-Man appearances?
Yes, it's got the Spider-Man appearances, the She-Hulk appearances, but the first stories of his own were just awful. They were almost like Hulk stories, except Man-Wolf wasn't as strong. The thing that really bugged me was in the Spider-Man story.
I'm sorry. I had this set to play music when you're trying to get you off, but never mind. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, in the Spider-Man story, I don't know how many people have either read it or listened to the Power Records version, but at the end, Man-Wolf is attacking his fiance, because he is John Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson's son, and he's attacking his fiance, and Spider-Man rips the pendant off and throws it into the river, and Man Wolf becomes John Jameson right in
And
front of
goes,
his girlfriend.
"Arrgh," if I recall the sound effect.
Yes, right in front of his girlfriend, and his girlfriend is, it's all over now. No, she didn't remember it because he's trying to hide the fact that he's Man Wolf from his girlfriend in their series.
Well, it's not like he jumped out of a plane with a parachute, and the next issue he doesn't have it.
So it was not until David Alan Kraft starts doing the the Star God story that the book actually is worth reading. And the Star God story is weird and fun and very 70s and has George Perez art. By the way, Joe, those early issues of the Man Wolf story.
Yeah.
George Tuska, who's not great at superheroes, great at crime comics, not good at superheroes, inked by Vince Colletta.
Vince Colletta is becoming your death mate, isn't it?
Oh my God. George Tuska on a superhero story. Mediocre. George Tuska inked by Vince Colletta on a superhero story. Ugh. Ugh. Oh.
He's going to puke! He's going to puke! Hey, now I understand why you like doing that.
But that was a fun read, and it got me through the day. Also, there is so much wrestling on the YouTubes for free now. One of the other things about the group home is I'm there on evenings. I'm there till 10, and the residents want to go to bed at 7. We have to at least keep them up till they take their 7 o'clock meds. So they're usually in bed by 8 or 8:30. There is All Elite Wrestling Dark, which is a weekly show on the YouTubes, which is an hour of basically all the matches before All Elite Wrestling Dynamite begins on TNT. There is NWA Power, which is the wrestling promotion owned by Billy Corrigan. Yes, that Billy Corrigan. And it is an old school studio wrestling show where the people come and they give their promo and then they walk right to the ring. And really fun show. And then there's Major League Wrestling, which is a wrestling promotion that was out of the West Coast, but now it's traveling. And they're kind of a high-end indie. And their big selling point is that they have all kinds of different wrestling styles. You know, they've got lucha, they've got technical wrestling, they've got brawls. I've only watched a couple of the shows, and they've been okay. And I like a lot of the people on the show. So, Joe, do you remember the Von Erichs?
Yes.
The Von Erich kids are part of Major League Wrestling.
Really?
Yeah.
Is Carrie around, or is he?
No, it's just the kids.
Oh, that would have been that'd been cool to try to redo a dynasty. Okay, shut up. I'm not giving out ideas anymore.
So that's what I have been spending my week on, and for the rest of the day, I'm going to kind of just huddle around the heater here. Maybe I'll do some baking. That always makes the house warm. Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about funny books and Dan's lack of sleep for almost 2 hours.
And we've been recording this for an entire week.
And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
You know, I tried donating blood today. Never again. Too many stupid questions. Whose blood is it? Where did you get it from? Why is it in a bucket? Bah. Dan?
Yeah.
He's asleep. Corey?
Good night, everybody.
Hit my music.